essentially the report was about strategically important metals, those metals that are becoming in short supply either through stockpiling by nation states or by private sector. How it impacts upon REACH is that some of the evidence we received suggested that the specialist metals traders are concerned about the way in which the regulations as currently drafted mean that they are having to spend too large a sum of money in complying with the regulations compared with people who quite rightly are heavily regulated because they're handling toxic chemicals and things that are potentially dangerous.
Are you saying these traders should be exempted completely from REACH obligations?
No, I think what should happen is that there should be a much more pragmatic approach to the way the paperwork is handled, and so that if somebody is dealing with a substance that is inherently dangerous, I think that is a problem that needs addressing. There needs to be some sort of separation from those chemicals about which REACH was really about, those things that potentially can cause harm to human health in the state they are in, as distinct from things that are, to all intents and purposes, inert.
So addressing those concerns, there's a review of REACH coming up next year. Do you think this is the right moment to try and get these concerns into the REACH review, or is it more something that the national government should take charge of?
Yes, there needs to be consistency in the way national governments handle the REACH regulations across Europe, and that of course applies to all the regulatory regime. We can't have a fair market across Europe if we treat the regulatory regime differently from one country to the other.
So is that what you're saying? Is that different countries treated differently?
That's one part of it. We need to make sure that, in this case, the British government isn't gold-plating the regulatory requirement coming from REACH, but equally we need to make sure that across Europe there is a sensible and pragmatic approach that deals with REACH in a way that focuses properly on those chemical substances which potentially are harmful.
So you're saying there should be greater harmonisation in the way that countries deal with REACH registration?
Well, from a point of view of the market, to have a fair and stable market, of course, I do mean that. But I also want to ensure that those regulations are not overly bureaucratic, and so that small companies are able to go about their work when they're handling materials that aren't inherently dangerous, and a quite different approach for those companies that are handling materials that are, we know, to be harmful to human health.